Good evening, everyone. Before we call this council meeting to order, I will ask that we have a moment of silence to honor the late Gladys Huffman, who was a former Lincoln mayor and the first woman mayor to serve Lincoln. She passed away on January the 30th, 2026. Thank you. I would like to call this council meeting of March 9th, 2026 to order. And I would ask, if, as you are able, to please stand for the national anthem. Thank you. The scouts that are here, that is all about being prepared. I would like to begin by reading a safety notice. In the event of an emergency, please evacuate the council chambers to the nearest exit through the chamber doors and obey all instructions given. If assistance is required, please see the deputy clerk to my right. She will be out there. And once you have evacuated the building, please gather in the front parking lot outside of Town Hall. At this time, please ensure that you place your cell phone on silent or turn it off. And lastly, the Town of Lincoln Council meetings are posted on our YouTube channel, which is why we are a little late starting. Closed captioning is available on all our videos by selecting the closed captioning button on the bottom right of the video. The Town of Lincoln, being part of the Niagara region, is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattawandurunk, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. And there are many First Nations, Métis and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Regional Municipality of Niagara and the Town of Lincoln stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. Members of Council are in attendance, with regrets from Councillor Pachariva. We have staff in attendance this evening in person and remotely. In addition, several staff and recipients of the Mayor's Medal, participants of the Mayor's Cup Hockey Tournament, Felicia Werner from the University of Niagara Falls, and Regional Councilor Foster are in attendance. Do members have any amendments to the order of the agenda? There being none, are there any declarations of interest? We move on to item 7, which is announcement by members. And do members have any announcements? Please remember that you have a limit of 3 items. There being none, I'll move on to proclamations. We have one proclamation this evening, being to recognize March the 8th, 2026, as International Women's Day that just passed yesterday. Our staff at the town held our annual International Women's Day event this past Friday, and I want to thank those who attended, as well as Jillian's Place, who provided a great presentation which tended to lift our sensitivities and sensibilities about the issue of abuse. I will now read the proclamation. Whereas International Women's Day is celebrated globally each year on March 8th to recognize and honor the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women and to inspire continued action toward gender equality. And whereas 2026 marks 115 years of celebrating International Women's Day, celebrating over a century of women's resilience, leadership, and contributions of women worldwide. And whereas the 2026 theme, Give to Gain, reminds us that when individuals, organizations, and communities give generously through mentorship, through advocacy, resources, time, or support, opportunities for women multiply. And when women thrive, we all rise. And whereas giving to advance women creates a ripple effect across workplaces, homes, and communities, fostering a more connected, equitable, and empowered world. And whereas community organizations continue to play a vital role in supporting women and promoting gender equity throughout the town of Lincoln, inspiring residents, businesses, and organizations to embrace the spirit of Give to Gain through acts of support, allyship, and meaningful contributions. And whereas this day provides an opportunity for the town of Lincoln to celebrate progress, recognize achievements, and commit to actions that promote equality, inclusion, and opportunity for all. Now, therefore, I, Sandra Easton, Mayor of the town of Lincoln, do hereby declare March the 8th, 2026 as International Women's Day. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here. Our first item under recognition and achievements is to recognize another special group of people for their work and leadership with community groups and youth. Tonight, we have members from Beamsville and Vineland Scouts. These people volunteer their time and experience to improve the lives of others by planning meetings, camps, programming awards, and badge work and fundraisers. They all give back by supporting town events and initiatives and are pillars in our community. The second group is the Royal Canadian Legion Branch 612, who support and remember our veterans and provide essential advocacy, financial assistance, and mental health resources for veterans and their families. This is an important group in our community, serving seniors, youth, and is a space for community gathering, fundraising, and volunteering, upholding national remembrance, and managing the annual Poppy campaign. Please join me in congratulating these two groups of fine citizens. On a personal note, Councillor Lynn Timmers and Councillor Greg Reimer and myself have the honor of being invited to many scouting events. And one of the things that became clear pretty early on is this is a very large group of youth in our community that are taking advantage at a number of different levels. And it is really quite inspiring to see the more senior members of the group and what they're doing and returning to the community even though they're at university and college. And they come back and still continue to influence the youth in the Scouts. So I want to recognize Melanie Renucci, Amanda Pilot, who was unable to attend this evening, and Andrew Bonner. And I would also like to recognize Roy Kaja and Lloyd Clark, who are more senior leaders. But these are only a few of the leaders. This is really quite a large group to deal with, well over 100 Scouts. Roy Kaja and Lloyd Clark, and Lloyd was unable to join us this evening. So those are the individuals in the First Beamsville Scouting that we will be honoring. And from the First Vineland Scouts, we have Mike Stevenson and Melanie Stevenson. Again, very long-standing leaders of this group, the Fruit Belt Pack, right? Is it still referred to as that? And certainly bringing a younger crowd along and putting a lot of energy into their development and their stick-to-itiveness so that they get to wear the Senior Scout hat. Yes. And so we will be honoring Mike and Melanie. And from the Royal Canadian Legion, Branch 612, we have 3 representatives, Roy Mackey, Doris Mackey, and Terry Miller, who is the Poppy Chair. Still, Roy? Yes, but he's unable to be with us this evening. So what I will do is I will call you down in groups, and we will take some photographs in the front. The council will join us, and I'll thank you now for all of your great work, for all that you do to build our community, for all that you do to keep the thoughts and hearts in the right places in this community. It is very important. And now I would like to recognize the participants in two hockey teams. The first one is the annual Mayor's Cup Hockey Tournament, which took place on the weekend of February 6th to 8th, 2026 in Port Colborne. They hosted the annual Mayor's Cup Tournament, and there were 12 teams registered to compete in 4 divisions from across the region. The Town of Lincoln team competed in Division D, and Beamsville Fire team competed in Division C. Both teams did exceptionally well, and of course, that's why we're honoring them this evening. The town team made it to the final of Division D against Port Colborne, and after ending 2-2, they lost in a shootout. I think that shootouts should be banned. They're just such a downer for people. And the Beamsville Fire beat Niagara Region in their fire game. But for us, there are teams, there are people, and we are very, very grateful that you would go out and risk your good health to play on these teams. So this evening, we have Lucas Dykstra. For the Team Lincoln players, we have Lucas Dykstra, Todd Rogers, and Nick Massey. Is that everybody that's here tonight? Okay, who am I missing?
And Adam Kelly.
Adam. Very good. Okay, Adam Kelly. Thanks, Adam. Okay, and there are others on this team. Jonathan DiLoretto, Braden D'Amico, Kiana Tobia, James Rochon, Jason McConkey, Joshua Adshead, Chris Block, Nathan Kurth, and Zach Zylstra. Congratulations. Now, on the Beamsville Fire players, there's a bigger group here tonight, but it doesn't look like, is everybody here? Okay. All right, I'm going to name everybody. So on the Beamsville Fire team, we have Josh Davies. If you're here, put your hand up, and then we'll recognize you. Mike Bryce. Great, thanks, Mike. Cooper Early. Noah Perlick. Owen Barkway. Thanks, Owen. Troy Reimer. Thanks, Troy. Jordan Lewis. Anthony McMaster. Cedric Warburton. Thank you, Cedric. Kevin Scott. Thank you. Kobe Early. Thank you. Kevin Palmieri. Daryl Burkhart. Christy Asanovic. Ethan Doan. Marcel Van Amerungen. Thank you. Derek Fiss. And Kirsten Crothers. And thank you very much and congratulations. So we'll do the Lincoln team first. We have a small memento of acknowledgement for you. We'll take a photograph and then that'll complete this part. next item on the agenda is an acknowledgement of an award that was received from the Economic Development Council of Ontario, EDCO, for Lincoln's Shared Destination Marketing organization with St. Catharines. And the award was in the urban category for visitor attraction and tourism product development. These awards of excellence celebrate the most impactful and innovative economic development initiatives across Ontario. And on behalf of Council, I want to congratulate our economic development team on the recognition for their hard work. Thank you. Item number 10 is delegations and presentations. Item 10.1 announces that we have Felicia Werner, the Executive Director of Community and Alumni Engagement from the University of Niagara Falls, in attendance to provide information and updates on the university. Ms. Werner, if you would come to the podium. Now, prior to Ms. Werner speaking, I'll ask that Council proceed with a majority vote to request a time extension until completion. Madam Clerk? Could we just have a show of hands, councillors? Great, thank you very much. Please go ahead.
Wonderful. I'm going to wait for the presentation if that's all right. And can I just say, it's very exciting to be able to see so much celebration happening in the town of Lincoln. It's really incredible, some of the things that you guys are doing here. So congratulations to everybody who was awarded tonight. So to begin, my name is Felicia Werner, and I'm the Executive Director of Community and Alumni Engagement at the University of Niagara Falls, Canada. As you can see, I am not, in fact, Dr. David Gray. Unfortunately, he was unwell this evening, and so I am going to be looking after you guys and sharing a little bit more about the university and why we're so excited to be part of the Niagara region. Oh, I think I was a little hasty with the clicks. One moment. Our story so far. So we opened our doors in April of 2024 with 2 programs, under 50 students, 35 staff, and just shy of 30,000 square feet of campus in Niagara Falls. And just to kind of also put that into perspective as well, our first day of classes was the day of the solar eclipse. So I don't know if anybody remembers that, but that was actually our first day. And so we took that as a really good omen. Fast forward to today, February 2026, or I guess we're technically in March now. We now have 12 programs, almost 3,000 students, over 200 staff, and just shy of 38,000 square feet of campus. So we've done a lot in the last 24 months. And our students have already been making their mark. So it's really exciting to see that not only are we a new institution, but our students have come in and really hit the ground running. In the short span of time that we've had our students win competitions, an example being Edith. She actually got first place in the Lectura speech competition. We have also won some awards ourselves as well. We've won Most Innovative Higher Education Institution in Ontario for 2025. We were an award finalist for the Excellence in Business Awards. And our Masters of Data Analytics have been really sweeping up lately. So we're really excited to say that they got first place at the Arden University Business Case Competition. They received second place at the Higher Education Analytics Data Competition at Mohawk College. And we've also received the Spirit of Innovation Award at the Google Developer Group Windsor Dev Fest. So again, really exciting to see that our students have really embraced the opportunity of jumping right into it and already creating some waves for us here in the Niagara region and beyond. Now, I am very biased, but I love this slide. As someone who works in the community engagement side, it's really exciting, and I will say that from my own experience, I have never seen a group of students be as engaged as the students that we have. Now, again, I understand that there's probably a little bit of bias because I get to see them every day, But I think it's truly incredible to see that with the number of students that we have, last year alone, they already gave back over 5,300 community service hours. So those are students who, again, are really not only making the most of their academic career, but also really getting involved in the Niagara region, getting connected, and making those big waves as well. So we've connected with Alzheimer's Society, Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Canadian Blood Services, Community Care, and Project Share. So our students are really kind of expanding across Niagara and really making sure that they give back to the community that has so graciously welcomed them and us to your space. Up next, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the economic impact that we've had on Niagara. Now, we're really excited about this because when we started, we really wanted to invest here in Niagara, and we're doing that every day locally. So as an anchor institution, we want to make sure that everything that we do, from where we're investing in terms of buildings, so we have our Queen Street campus. We've expanded our space across the street now, so if you ever make it downtown Queen Street in Niagara Falls, please come see us. You'll see all of our signage everywhere. We have our student commons, and we also have some managed residence for students to have safe, affordable housing in Niagara Falls as well. Aside from that, we are always hosting different events, we're getting engaged in the community, and we're always making sure that we're sourcing locally. So if we have an event, we want to make sure that all of those providers are local Niagara providers where we can. So again, really making sure that we're here for Niagara to be a cornerstone for you guys. Jobs created. So I think that this slide is really interesting, and I will actively say that I've become a byproduct of this. So the jobs that created have been really exciting because UNF has created over 200 jobs here in Niagara, 40 sessional instructors, 51 full-time faculty, and 21 student positions. And what's exciting is that not only are they attracting talent from Niagara, but they're also bringing it back. And I am a byproduct of that because I am originally from the Niagara region. I actually went away, so I was in the UK for 10 years. And having the opportunity to come back and work at an institution like that, it actually brought me back home. So it's really great to be home and being able to make an impact in something that I feel so passionate about as well. And so you can see that our talent is also not only being attracted not only from within Ontario, across Canada, and now internationally. So we have staff and faculty that have come from the University of Toronto, Wilfrid Laurier, McMaster, Dalhousie, Canisius University, Niagara College, Sheridan, just to name a few. So again, really being able to bring that talent back into Niagara, which is really exciting. For us, we are locally rooted, but we are very much globally connected. We are very lucky to be part of Global University Systems, which is one of the largest higher private education systems in the world. So we have 31 institutions around the globe that we've been able to take all of our best practices, all of that experience, and I like to say that I like to call UNF our super university because they've taken all of the best practices from all the different institutions and really placed it here in Niagara. And I think where you can see that is even in the modalities of teaching, even down to the furniture. I like to say everything has been selected with the student, with a student-facing perspective to make sure that they have the best in-classroom experience and also the most current experience and education. So degrees with a digital edge. So we are officially, like I said, we started with 2 programs. We're up to 12 now, which is incredibly exciting. We have 3 undergraduate or bachelor's programs. So we have our business administration, the biomedical sciences, and the bioveterinary sciences program. Now what's exciting about that and these undergraduate programs is that we also have institutions and medical schools in the Caribbean. And so we've created direct pathways for our students who want to be doctors, who want to be veterinarians, to be able to still do that and find those spots in the Caribbean going through our undergraduate programs as the pathway, which is really exciting because, as we all know, we do need more doctors and we do need more veterinarians. With our master's programs, we have been very intentional with the type of programming that we have selected. So as you can see, we have programs like applied social psychology. We have the applied artificial intelligence. We have data analytics. We're looking at the healthcare management programs, regenerative sustainability, water and food security. So many different programs, but again, very, very specific and very, very dedicated to the needs of Niagara. And we like to say that Niagara is our campus because we have taken the learning not only within the classroom, but the learning outside of the classroom. And we're doing that with the real world internships and capstone projects. So we have students kind of going all over Southern Ontario at this point, some actually even outside of Ontario to work on their work integrated learning opportunities. And we've had a little bit of feedback from our employers. Again, it's been very early days, so even to have the employers feeding back at this point and saying, hey, your students are demonstrating professionalism in the workplace. Hey, we're really excited about the initiative and the willingness to learn from your students. And having 96.4% of employers say that they are satisfied with all the performance, the professionalism, the creativity, and the impact that they're making is very significant to us. And so we want to make sure that not only when our students are supporting the local businesses here in Niagara or some of the larger organizations, that they're being able to do that in a really impactful and meaningful way. So our focus on students. So our student support is something that is very, very important to us. So of course, we're very focused on making sure that our students have the best academic experience possible, but we also want to make sure, and we also are very cognizant of the fact that the experience outside of the classroom also matters. And so when we have services that are wrapped around to make sure that our student supports have that career services lens, that they have the health and wellness, the mentoring, that they have all those opportunities to really get involved, because what we want is not only to be able to teach these incredible individuals, but we want them to stay and become those active members of society that we all know and love. And so we're really passionate about making sure that those students are resilient and that they are ready for the workforce when they graduate. What's to come? So we've done all of that in 24 months. We have more in store. So we're really excited again about really investing here in Niagara long term. We want to make sure that we continue to expand our academic programming, and we're looking to also expand our campus space. So we're looking again to really be able to enhance those partnerships and those community events. We really, really want to invest to be here long term. And now one of the things that I actually really appreciated from the town of Lincoln is one of the questions that you asked us to kind of highlight was, what are ways that we can partner? And I really appreciated that question, because you are asking the exact question, and the reason why we are here today is because we want to partner. We've done all of this, and with your help and the support of Lincoln, we can actually continue to grow. So we are looking for deeper community partnerships. We are looking to increase our volunteer opportunities. So when we say, how can we partner? There are so many ways, and like I said, we would be so, so happy to do that. Whether it's through work integrated learning opportunities, whether it's through volunteering opportunities, whether it's through some partnerships with some of your local businesses. We are already working with other municipalities in that way, and we would love to add the town of Lincoln to that. I believe that is my last slide, so I will pause there, because as you can probably imagine, I could talk on the University of Niagara Falls, Canada for quite some time. Thank you.
Thank you, Felicia. And my scoreboard here is lighting up. So we're going to start with Councillor Rinjima.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your presentation. And I'm the representative on the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce, appointed by council. So you talked about potentially working with businesses. And so would it be all right if I provided your contact information to our executive director, Amelia?
That would be a resounding absolutely yes.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, wow, that is an incredible amount of growth in just a couple of years. Like, that is absolutely amazing. Just a couple quick questions. Do you guys regularly, again, go out and chat with some of the local high schools just to, again, potentially talk about new students? Because I know I have a daughter who's in grade 11 right now, one in grade 9, and again, they're starting to have those conversations about post-secondary, and unfortunately, University of Niagara Falls has not come up yet. So I'm curious to see if you have any contact with the local schools.
Absolutely, and actually that's a really good point. That is a area that we are putting some heavy momentum into as well, making sure that the high school students know that there is another option out there, especially for all their parents trying to keep their kids closer to home, so we get that. And yeah, so we are actively working with high schools. We're looking to get engaged. We do have a open house. Can you remind me the date of the open house? March 28th, so if you do have anybody who knows or would like to see the new campus on March 28th, we are going to be welcoming students, partners, all onto our campus to come check it out.
Thank you. And just a second follow-up question. What's your ratio of international to domestic students?
That's a great question. So I won't be able to give you the exact percentage ratio. That would be something that Dr. David Gray probably would be able to give you down to the percentage. But what I can say is that we are a predominantly international school. Now, with that, one of the things that I think is incredibly valuable is that we're seeing that the students that are coming in not only engage, but actually be a very diverse group. So although we are predominantly international, I would say that the number of domestic students that we have received actually has exceeded our initial forecast, which is super exciting. Again, testament to working in with community and seeing a community actually support us back in that way has been really exciting in such a short period of time. In terms of even the diversity of our international students, it's been really exciting to see that we're getting students from all over the world and having really balanced classrooms. And one of the things that I will say anecdotally that I received from as feedback from one of our students was the global perspective in the classroom has really shaped and challenged their thinking. So they gave an example of they were working on a case study and they said that it was a pretty kind of like basic case study. And in their mind, they were saying, oh, I know what the solutions are gonna be for this. And then someone jumped in from a different country and said, that would never work in my country. And so all of a sudden their thinking got flipped upside down and they provided another solution. And then they had someone else come and be like, well, that would never work in our country. And so again, they took this very simple case study and all of a sudden gave it a completely global lens just by being in that classroom. So it's been really exciting to see, again, that balance of students in that.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Brunet.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks for the presentation. I just had a question with regards to, the growth that you've gone through from 50 students in 2024 to 3,000 now. How was that preparation in the fact that you've got so many global international students to be able to have the foresight to have student accommodation there when that growth all of a sudden hit?
So another great question. I think the best way that I could answer that is that we're so lucky to be part of such a large group. They have that experience already. So we have a sister school out in Vancouver. We have other institutions across Canada. So when they were looking at the planning, the thing that I really appreciate, we're not kind of a university that's just giving it a go and throwing things and seeing what sticks. Everything that they have put together is based on a lot of experience, a lot of thought, a lot of strategic purpose, and a lot of alignment to the region. So I won't be able to answer the question on how did they know in that sense because that was slightly before when I started, but what I can say is that the leadership of this team, of the university and of the global universities, our parent company, is incredibly good at what they do and has a lot of experience in that area.
And a second question, Madam Mayor. So I was just also curious, like you're probably aware, we have a piece of property that we've acquired here with the BDSS, the old high school with 16 acres. So I'm just curious, you've gone through, quite a growth in your square footage of campus. So did you inherit land? Did you have land gifted to you? Did you have to buy it? How did that all come into fruition?
I might not be able to get completely in depth on that answer, again, just purely because I don't know. But what I will say is that for our building space, so we're in what used to be the Hatch building right beside the city of Niagara Falls. So we don't occupy the whole building. We have a couple floors of that. The space across the street we leased out because we were growing quite quickly, and we were very fortunate because that was an unoccupied space. And for our residences, for example, they were underutilized spaces as well, so we looked after that. So again, a big piece of that revitalization piece that we were looking at.
Well, that's great. We have a great relationship with Brock University, Niagara College, and I'm sure that through our staff and our CAO, he'll be arranging a tour pretty soon. Thank you.
I really look forward to it, and I would actually echo what you said, where I think it's pretty incredible to see Niagara be such an incredible education destination, and that's where we have some really great partners to be able to do that.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Mikulik?
Thank you very much, through you to the presenter. Thank you. To be honest, I didn't know much about your university, so this was educational, excuse the pun, for me. The question I have is, what differentiates your university from, Niagara College or Brock University? Why, I mean, there's kids here, parents, right? Why should they come to your university as opposed to the others?
That's a great question. It's a question that we answer all the time, too, for prospective students. The main thing that we did as an institution is that we did not come in to compete with other institutions. Let's be honest, Niagara College does certain areas of their programming exceptionally well, one of them being hospitality. Brock has some fantastic programs as well. Where we really focused is on very specific digital-first programming. And I think one of the things that makes us incredibly unique to for us as an institution is that, one, we have some of the newest curriculum, not even in Niagara, not in Ontario, but in Canada, because we are one of the newest universities. So everything that we have is the most current. We're able to implement artificial intelligence, some of those virtual reality aspects, AI, into the programming. So we're not trying to add it anywhere. We actually built it within. And I think when we even think of case studies, so you think back, I remember being in university, not to age myself, quite a bit ago, but we would have examples in terms of case studies that were 5, 6 years old. Everything is the most relevant. And I think that even when they look at the way that they're using technology across all aspects, an example that I can give is, for example, we have a virtual reality lab. So hopefully you will all be able to make it to come check out our campus. But if you don't, we have a great virtual reality lab, and they're using that for, say, the biomedical science program. And so I asked, well, how would the biomedical science program use a VR headset? And one of the things that they were talking about is, if you think of when you were doing kind of dissections, you get one opportunity to do that. If you mess it up, that's it. With the virtual reality, they're actually using these headsets to be able to do repetition. They can do the same thing over and over again. They can create situations. So now you have, oh, what would happen if this artery bursts? What would you do then? And so you get that kind of specialization and work with that technology. And now that there are doctors who are actually operating and they're not even in the same room as the patients, again, getting that hands-on experience right from the get-go. So that's just an example that I found, well, actually it kind of blew me away when they were telling me about it, because when you see how far technology has come, to be able to embed that right into the foundation and DNA of our institution is pretty unique to us.
Thank you for that. I have another question through you, Mayor. So it looks like the timing of your university coincided with the growth, the explosive growth, with international students. And, I look and it starts with 50, now it's almost 3,000. And I'm sure there's a business case to forming or creating a university. How has the immigration policies changed your outlook? It's obviously in the news, affected other colleges and universities. How is your university exposed to these sorts of changes in enrollment numbers? Is it going to continue this upward trend?
Yes, thank you for your question, through the mayor. I'm not on the kind of policy side, so I won't be able to give too many details on this, but what I can say is, obviously, higher education is going through some pretty stormy waters at the moment, and I think that we can all be quite frank about that. I think for us as an institution, we are fortunate in the sense that we've been able to grow as an institution with our kind of student body. And so for us, it makes us a little bit more agile in that sense. And so when we're thinking of kind of the growth, yes, we're still looking to grow. We're still looking to be here long term. And I think the only thing would be is maybe the growth that we would have initially anticipated might just take just a slightly bit longer. And so again, we're still looking to kind of invest here. We're still looking at kind of growing here. But I think that that growth will, while we're working with the different changes that come out, it feels like almost daily at some points, and making sure we navigate those waters to make sure that we are here long term.
Okay, perfect. No, it's understandable. I mean, there are other colleges and institutions around this area, like Ridley College. They have a lot of international students. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, what is a typical client or what does a typical student look like? You know, is it the specialty? You know, from what you're talking, that virtual reality. So the different programs that are unique to yourself. So thank you for answering those questions.
No worries. Thank you so much for asking them.
All right. Thank you very much for your presentation, Felicia. And I don't see any other questions. I have a motion moved by Councillor Russell, seconded by Councillor Murray, that council receive and file for information the delegation from Felicia Werner, University of Niagara Falls. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
The vote is now open. The vote is closed, and that carries.
Thank you. That motion carries. Thank you again.
Thank you again so much for having us.
Councillors, we'll move on now to, thank you all for coming this evening. We'll now consider item 10.2, the Regional Council update. Councillor Foster, would you please attend at the podium? Hi, Rob. Thanks very much for coming.
Yeah, there's a great way to clear the room, bring up Foster. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me as usual. Couple of things on my report. I sent it in this afternoon. I'm sorry it was a little bit late, but there's absolutely nothing going on at the region these days that have been taking my time and others in any way, shape, or form. So just we'll take a step back because the last time I was here, we were just going through the last stages of budget at the region. So the budget came in at 6.3 when it was all said and done. The final changes were quite minor in nature that happened within it. So just to let you know, there's this mistaken belief that somehow the region is a significant cause of increases in budget areas. When it was all said and done, the departments at the region itself came in at 1.2%. The main part for us, once again, was policing. That is 4.4% that came in on that. Which of course has been part of my call for some time now, saying we need to separate that particular expense off of the region portion of this. We have zero control over it when it's all said and done. And by the way, we still haven't heard, because there was a last-minute agreement between the regional chair and Chief Forty to reduce an extra $800,000 off the policing. I don't know if that happened. So anyway, we will find out at an upcoming council meeting, I'm sure. This week is meeting week at the region. Tomorrow, I'm bringing forward a motion concerning a request to the province of Ontario. We had a report that came through talking about long-term planning for waste management in the province of Ontario and within municipalities. This is one of these things that really truly is a 50 or 60 or 70 year type of an issue. The problem is that a lot of the decisions that are going to be made really need to be much broader in scope than just Niagara region. So in other words, let's say incineration is a goal in the future. Niagara doesn't have enough quantity of things to go and actually have that make sense. So there needs to be almost areas of southern Ontario that are going together and making decisions on what's going to happen on the waste management side of things. So, and I'm not throwing out incineration as, oh yes, that's absolutely what's going to happen. What I'm saying is that if it's a reasonable thing to be doing in the future, as is most of Europe dealing with it, as other areas of Canada, simply put, Niagara doesn't have the quantity of waste that makes it a logical thing to do. So more decisions have to be made. So we're going to be requesting that the province take a province-wide strategy on long-term waste management. And so as we all know, and I know this council as well, we were quite enamored with the photo radar and what was going on in front of our schools, but that has gone by the wayside. So tomorrow we're going to be discussing the road safety strategy plan. So it's kind of the what's next that's coming on with this. A lot of good ideas, and a lot of things that you guys have implemented here in the town of Lincoln as well. I think you have been very progressive on how you've been dealing with traffic within particularly the subdivisions. I put on my thing, surprise, budget adjustment for the Niagara Falls wastewater treatment plant upgrade. So, and there's a significant amount of extra funds are now going to be required for that. This is going to be a mantra for the next number of years when it comes to infrastructure. The cost of doing all of this stuff has gone up incredibly. So the fixes that are needed required, the upgrades that are needed required, new wastewater treatment plants coming into play, for instance, down the South Niagara Falls one. They will be a lot more than what has originally been talked about. So just be prepared for that as we're going along. We're also tomorrow talking about the provincially mandated homelessness prevention plan. So those are funds that we've actually received from the provincial government, and so part of this is how they're going to be parceled out and used within the communities, those particular funds. And the Welcoming Streets initiative that's gone on. We all know many people that have been involved with that, Dr. Stobie, a variety of others within it. And that program is being discussed tomorrow as well, where that particular program is going to go to. Corporate services, something that affects you guys. There's software called Esri that is used in the GPS side of things. It's a region-wide solution. Sometimes the region actually works really well when it comes to things like software purchases and stuff like that. So anyway, Esri is going to be put onto the table tomorrow. I talked to the CIO at Niagara Region, and the bulk buying of this particular software is incredibly good for all the municipalities out of it, and that's why that's being done. The deferred hiring freeze motion is going to be coming back on to corporate services on Wednesday. My expectation is that it's going to be defeated within it. We already have a hiring freeze at Niagara Region. We've had one for years. There's been a lot of confusion over what it really means. There are no new positions that come on to Niagara Region that are not approved by council. So that has been going on I'm going to suggest to you, at least as long as I've been on Niagara Region Council. And we get into the planning and economic development, we get the Niagara Transit update coming in as well. So we're going to find out all the great things that they're doing over at Niagara Transit. As we know, Mr. Patriva is our representative for our town on that particular committee, and I'm looking forward to that. What I didn't put on this particular sheet is the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority hired me back as the chair. So, and Sandra and I have, Mayor Easton and I have talked a couple of times on this. This is a bit of an advantage rate at the moment for our municipality with some of the projects that are going on. I will also say to you is that I think I'm insane because my gray hair is going to get worse. There's amalgamations that are going on with conservation authorities. There's a major announcement coming tomorrow from the province in and around all of this. I don't know if you guys passed a motion. I don't think you did, but the region passed a motion agreeing with the NPCA that what is being proposed is not in the interest of the region of Niagara and the Niagara watershed. And the expectation is that we have been making the case that it makes more sense for Hamilton and Niagara to be going down the road with what we're doing. Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority has a lot of very interesting nuances about it. Number one, it is the only unionized conservation authority in Ontario. That makes a big difference when you're starting to go out and looking at you know, how these things are going to come together. We are also, the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority is also probably the best bang for the buck of all of the four that are being talked about on the West End. So I've done reports to Niagara College, I've done reports to various groups on this. And if you remember back, I think you guys got the report that we had, and if you hadn't, I'll make sure I get it to you. But it doesn't take long to realize that the KPIs on the thing really are not in the interest of Niagara, but again, many others above my pay grade are going to be making decisions on those types of things. So, and that's my report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rob. And I'll confirm with you that we did have the executive director here very soon after the announcement was made to consolidate. And at that time, we supported a motion that was brought forward.
Yeah, thank you. I was here that evening, but I didn't remember the motion, so that's good. Thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you very much. All right. Now, I have some questions. We're going to start with Councillor Murray. Go ahead, Councillor Murray.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Through you to Councillor Foster. Exciting times at the region, and congratulations on your role with the NPCA. I know that you've done that before, and I'm sure you'll bring excellent judgment and guidance to them. So congratulations on that. Your first note here about the motion that you're planning on bringing forward regarding the province-wide strategy to address long-term waste disposal. Is it just a motion saying you need to come up with a strategy, or are you also providing any sort of framework for a strategy that you think would be effective?
So just to let you know, this comes along with a full report that we had done at Niagara Region, and we were a little loath not passing the subsequent motion saying, by the way, we need the province involved with this. I'm on the Waste Management Steering Committee for Niagara as well. There's not too many committees that I'm not involved with down at Niagara Region, but the Waste Management Steering Committee, we've been going through and reviewing this for a number of years, and we have actually put forward our strategy that we want to look at within Niagara, but we've also come to realize that this might be bigger than just Niagara when this is all said and done. So as I say, like, these are multi-year things, and the problem is that on the waste management side of things, when you decide you're going to start something, you're immediately into a 20-year cycle before you're going to actually see anything happen out of it. So That's why it's important to have the province involved and for us to be moving on the Niagara region side of things, so.
A follow-up question, if I could. So, as part of that report and the strategy that hopefully will be developed, does any of that speak to the funding model that's currently in place? And does the new strategy, particularly if it moves outside of just being the Niagara region, but perhaps being a larger area, is any part of that advocating for the idea that waste disposal and is no longer paid for by the property tax owner, but by the property taxpayer, but more so by provincial funding?
No.
Fair enough.
The thing is with waste management is that we do have responsibility for taking care of the waste that we produce within Niagara region and or the town of Lincoln and or the town of West Lincoln type of thing. So as it turns out, those responsibilities are sitting with the region at this point in time. What it's going to be down the road, who the heck knows, but it's currently the responsibility of the region. So bottom line is that there's significant costs come into play with all of these systems. They're not costs that are going to go away. And I'm going to say this is going to sound a little political maybe, I don't know. I've never been known to do that, but this is part of the problem with the current discussion that's going on even around Niagara region and what's going to happen in the future. And I know you guys are doing a motion, is it tonight or at your next meeting after, but these costs aren't going away. Like, you can shuffle the deck chairs however you want as it's going on. The costs are not going away. There's $1.7 billion in water and wastewater that has to be fixed. There's another billion in a variety of other infrastructure that has to be looked at and is going to happen. Those costs aren't going away. So, you know, a lot of the stuff that we're dealing with at Niagara region, I mean, I don't go down there and do nothing, okay? Like these committees and stuff that we're on, we're doing some pretty important work for everybody within the region of Niagara. Those jobs aren't going away. They are still there. So anyway, it's a bit of the fallacy of a lot of these discussions that are going on at this point in time. So there's my editorial comment.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor Easton.
Councillor Mikulek, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Through you to Regional Foster. Thank you for coming, as always. You're probably expecting me to ask a question about the budget or, you know, this and that. I'm not going to, you know, I want to ask about this one line that I'm reading here, and it says, since apparently regional councillors add no value to the region, I thought I'd provide an overview of the meetings this week. I'll be honest.
I accidentally didn't delete that, so.
Let's stay on track here. The meetings this week, as Councillor Foster said, this is committee week. We start tomorrow, and Public Works is the first committee. So his report, body of his report is speaking specifically to what is on the agenda of those meetings. And I would suggest that if we know Councillor Foster at all, we will understand that that was very much a tongue-in-cheek comment, and I would not consider that to be part of any discussion.
Well, it's written in the report that's on the agenda.
You know what, actually, let me make a comment on it,
are
okay?
reading.
I'll make a comment
So I would
just
like
so that to make.
clarification on this myself.
I'll make a comment just so that Councillor Mikulek can go home and sleep well tonight, okay?
Go ahead.
So part of what's going on at this point in time, if you haven't noticed, is there's a lot of discussions around, again, what those deck chairs are going to look like. You know, who's doing what, how are things going to happen. You guys are in the same rumor mill as all the rest of us. I don't know 100% what's coming down the road at us at this point in time. I don't think the mayor knows what's going on coming down the road at us as well. There's a lot of decisions are going to be made. There's a lot of opinions have been put out there. The latest one was the regional chair basically saying do away with regional councillors. Okay, not a problem. we'll see. I'll run down in your ward and be down in Ward, whatever that is, Ward 3, Ward 4. But anyway, the reality is that I don't know where this stuff is going, Mike, and you know, the problem is that you guys may feel frustrated with all of the discussions that have gone on. I certainly feel frustrated. I certainly have not been given the opportunity to truly put my 2 cents worth in on this. Should I? I don't know. I'm a 25-year councillor who has 7 years on the region, and I've learned a few things, but we shall see. It's, but anyway, yes, I will agree with the mayor. It was tongue-in-cheek that I put on there, and I really should have deleted it, so.
Yeah, but, you know, through you, you know, I agree. I don't think that should have been there. I don't know if that comment was generated as a result of a letter that Chair Gale had sent. I'm not sure, and that's why I'm seeking this clarification. You know, I think there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of confusion, and I think that, you know, it's up to the councils, it's up to councillors, and I believe like all regional councillors were offered 5 minutes or something like that during that regional meeting where all of this shook out. And if this is considered to be that feedback, wow, then I guess you all had to be come up with some pretty significant pieces of feedback for Chair Gale to bring back to consider when drafting his letter. But at the same time, I feel like, you know, that statement troubled me, and that's, yeah, I'm not sure what else, you know, I'm not going to
Through
say
you,
anything
Madam
further
Chair.
about it.
Through you,
because-
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Frankly, I don't care. So, thank you.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Congratulations, Rob, on your reappointment. It's certainly to our advantage to have you in that position again. And we have work ahead of us, which is pretty important along the waterfront. So I know that things will be in good hands and they won't get lost throughout this whole process.
I think one of the things that you guys should be very happy with here at the town of Lincoln, Mayor Easton has been involved with a lot of projects that are directly affecting shoreline erosion, all these types of things. The NPCA has been working hand in hand with these organizations. We've done a lot of projects in and around this. The NPCA is being held up, has been held up, as one of the model conservation areas within Ontario. And as any of you know, you couldn't have said the same thing 9 or 10 years ago. So there's been a lot of hard work put in place. We've have terrific staff at the NPCA. Leilani Lee Yates is second to none as far as the CAO goes. I worry about people like her. I worry about others. When we start talking about things like amalgamations and all those types of things. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, and I have a motion moved by Councillor Brunet, seconded by Councillor Mikulik. The council receive and file for information the following delegation, Regional Councillor Foster. Would the Deputy Clerk please open the vote?
The vote is now open.
Thank you, Rob.
Councillor Brunet, may I have your vote verbally, please? The vote is closed, and that carries.
Thank you. The motion is carried. We move on now to items for consideration, and we have none for this evening. Item 12 is the motion to approve the previous council minutes. The council minutes of February the 2nd. Do members of council have any questions? There being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Renjima, seconded by Councillor Brunet, that council approve the minutes of the following meetings of council minutes of February the 2nd, 2026. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
The vote is now open. The vote is closed, and that carries.
Thank you. That motion carries. We move on to item 13, recommendations from standing committees. And we are now considering the following. Committee of the Whole minutes of February the 9th, 2026. Committee of the Whole minutes of February the 23rd, 2026. Do members of council have any questions? There being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Murray, seconded by Councillor Timmers. The council approved the following recommendations from standing committees. The Committee of the Whole minutes of February 9th, 2026. Committee of the Whole minutes of February 23rd, 2026. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
The vote is now open. That vote is closed, and it carries.
Thank you. The motion is carried. We move on to item number 14. We will now consider item 14.1, which is a notice of motion that will be brought forward by Councillor Russell to be introduced this evening, and we will seek an affirmative 2/3 vote for immediate consideration. To that end, I have a motion moved by Councillor Murray, seconded by Councillor Reimer. Whereas Procedure Bylaw 2022-04 provides that notices of motion shall not be discussed or debated upon introduction, but shall be included on the next regular council meeting agenda for consideration. And whereas Section 7.8.5 of the Town of Lincoln Procedure Bylaw 2022-04 permits a notice of motion to be considered upon its introduction by an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the members present. And whereas it is deemed impractical or not in the best interest of the Town of Lincoln to delay consideration, therefore be it resolved that the pertinent rules contained in Section 7.8 of Procedural Bylaw 2022-04 be waived to permit the introduction and consideration by council of the notice of motion on the council agenda pertaining to support for regional motion regarding governance review. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
The vote is now open. The vote is closed, and that carries.
Thank you. The motion is carried, and we move now to Councillor Russell. Councillor Russell, please present your motion. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
That's okay. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to council. I'm just going to give a very, very quick high-level recap of the events that have transpired over the last 3 weeks. Again, just very, very high level. So for those who are maybe following at home that don't know all of the activities, in and around February 19th, the mayors received a letter from Regional Chair Bob Gale requesting information on potential governance review with feedback requested for March the 3rd. We had our meeting on February the 23rd where we discussed that motion, and again, you did give us the opportunity, similar to the region where we all had about 5 minutes to ask questions, give our thoughts on the motion, and no specific direction in terms of the feedback, but just, again, a general discussion on the motion itself. At the Committee of the Whole meeting of February the 26th, Regional Council also had an opportunity for the regional councillors and some mayors to give their thoughts. At such time, there was a motion brought forward and passed that requested that a more thorough review based on, again, clear objectives, data, and, again, sound due diligence to be conducted in order to, again, make sure that any potential governance reform or governance changes are based on clear objectives and rational thought. After that time period, on March the 4th, there were 2 letters that were submitted. One by, at the time, Regional Councillor Bob Gale, outlining a proposal to the minister and to the province, outlining his recommendation on some changes. And there was also a joint letter by 8 municipal mayors outlining and giving some thought to the motion that was passed at Regional Council on the 26th, but giving some other specifics on potential governance changes, and again, really highlighting that need for a review. And it was that letter that brought forward the idea for this motion, is that, again, there was a lot of, there were some eyebrows raised in the community on our exclusion from that letter. And again, some of the ambiguity that our council may or may not have on the proposals by Regional Chair Gale, and also, again, the subsequent follow-up that he had as a regional councillor on March the 4th. So I wanted to bring this motion forward in two parts. One main component is, again, to support that motion that was passed at the Committee of the Whole on February the 26th. And also the second part is outlining or requesting the province to be aware that there should be some financial considerations for any changes in governance, any costs associated with the governance, and then again, give our council the opportunity to weigh in on this motion and the motion at the Regional Council.
Thank you very much, Councillor Russell. Councillor Rinjima, do you, I would like to have the motion put on the table. So do you have a clarification? Question of clarification? Okay, we have to put it on the table first. Would you like to read your motion, Councillor?
And I brought my glasses. Thank you, Madam Mayor. So moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Bernay. Whereas the town of Lincoln acknowledges the leadership of Mayor Wayne Redekop and Regional Councillor Laura Ip in bringing forward the motion at Regional Council, and whereas the town of Lincoln supports a thorough and transparent review of governance in the Niagara region and its 12 local area municipalities, and whereas participation in a governance review does not imply support for any specific restructuring model and reflects Council's commitment to informed dialogue and due diligence, and whereas the Town of Lincoln Council wants to ensure that any proposed changes to governance are supported by clear objectives, evidence-based analysis, and a transparent assessment of potential financial and service impacts to residents, and whereas the Town of Lincoln respectfully requests that consideration be given to have any costs incurred by the region and the 12 local area municipalities associated with the review and implementation of potential governance changes be supported by the province, including but not limited to costs related to the review process itself, employee transition costs, asset and debt management, and any infrastructure project shortfalls resulting from future changes. Now, therefore, be it resolved that 1, the Town of Lincoln Council support the motion passed by Regional Council on February 26, 2026 regarding the governance review. 2, the Town of Lincoln Council is willing to participate in the review should it proceed. 3, that the staff communicate council position in a manner that accurately reflects the town's support for review process and its commitment to fiscal responsibility. 4, that the Town of Lincoln requests the province set aside funding to cover the costs outlined above in order to reduce the financial impact of any governance changes on our communities. And 5, requests that a copy of this motion be circulated to all 12 local area municipalities in Niagara, the Regional Municipality of Niagara, Niagara Regional Chair, all Niagara area members of Provincial Parliament, MPPs, and Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and the Premier of Ontario.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Questions? You had a question, Councillor Njima?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So I attended the meeting of Regional Council of February 26th, wherein regional councillors took turns speaking to Chair Gale's letter to Minister Flack, outlining what he described as an urgent need for change, citing serious concerns regarding waste abuse and a culture of casualness with taxpayer dollars. The discussion went around the table with each councillor and mayors in their roles as regional councillors spoke. Some of their provided support for reform of some kind. Some were more specific as to the form of amalgamation they would like to see. Repetitive concerns were raised about what is considered a lack of consultation with residents and what is seen as reckless urgency rather than a commitment to establishing a well-thought-out business case with action items all backed by data. As you have heard, a motion was passed that called for and finalized with a motion to look into, again, reform suggestions. And of course, there have been a couple of letters released afterward, as Councillor Russell just outlined. What's clear is that people in the community, from the conversations I've had, don't want amalgamation generally, and particularly not if it is not clearly beneficial in terms of service provision primarily and potentially in terms of cost savings. Yeah, my question is, has anybody, with the letters that have come out, is anybody proposing any sort of timeline for any of these changes, other than originally I heard Chair Gale say in the next couple of months at the one meeting at Fort Erie? Is there any timeline anybody has provided to start a review?
I don't have any knowledge of that. I'll turn to the CAO. I know the CAOs met last Friday. Mr. Kokopoulos, do you have any information?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to members of council, there is no timeline or no formal process that's either been announced or established at this particular point in time.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Murray, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Through you, perhaps to Councillor Russell, perhaps to yourself. The 4 points that are noted here, it's hard to argue with most of them, like being willing to participate in the review should it proceed. Of course, we will do everything we can to move it forward in a way that is the best thing for our community. That the town requests the province set aside funding, I think that's an excellent idea. Putting that cost on us is somewhat unrealistic in my opinion. But I am kind of wondering about number one, in terms of that we are supporting the motion passed by the Regional Council, and mostly because I'm not sure why we would, in that I don't know that there's value in us doing that, in that Regional Council doesn't ask what we as municipal councillors think about this. It hasn't been asked of us, so then us supporting it, I guess what I'd like is a little bit of clarity as to what we're hoping to fundamentally achieve with a motion like this.
Go ahead, Councillor Russell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, again, I think we are at your pleasure. Again, my thoughts are that there is a motion already passed, so us supporting it is the easiest path of least resistance. We could craft our own motion and outline exactly, again, these points as they are currently written, or again, add on or change them as you see fit. It's up to council.
Okay. Councillor Timmers, could you come off? Great. You can come back on now. Councillor Murray, go ahead, please.
Thank you. So through you, Chair, so to clarify, I guess what you're saying is that you think that the town of Lincoln, as this body here, needs to have a voice and an opinion on whether there's going to be a review? Okay, that's what I was trying to clarify. Thank you.
Councillor Timmers.
Thank you very much, through you, Chair. So I'm of the same camp as Councillor Murray. I would like to make a friendly amendment that we remove the very first bullet because this motion was about 2 weeks ago and is yet to be ratified. And I feel, I'm in the opinion that we should just create our own Lincoln Council motion, which I would very much support. But I don't think it requires that first bullet. So I'd like to amend that. Okay. Just to remove that.
Okay.
And I have another, would you like me to go through all of my amendments, or do we want to do it at one at a time?
You have more than one amendment? Okay. Does it appear that we will be dealing with them separately?
I don't think we would need to. They're not, I think if we look at them all right now, we could deal with them together.
Okay, do you have a seconder?
I do not, so I require a seconder.
Okay, well, I guess you better read them. Go
Well, it's
ahead.
pretty simple. It's not a huge change. I'm totally supportive with the majority of what's here. I have no issue. So the first point is to remove the first bullet. So with removing that first bullet, then we would also remove number 2 on the second page, again, regarding the motion. Okay, so those 2 I would like to remove. And at the second bullet on the first page, I would like to add the local area municipalities. The town of Lincoln Council is willing to participate in the review should it proceed. And all I'm doing is I'm bringing a bullet from the second page and grouping it together. Because we're saying the same thing, just in 2 different spots. Is that clear what I said?
Let's just make it a person, it has to be clear.
Yes. I'm looking at Councillor Russell.
Yeah, I don't know what you mean by.
Okay, like, a couple of the bullets are repetitious, so I'm just putting them together. So I can pass it to you, Councillor Russell, if you would like to just look at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, just a second.
All
We're
right.
going to have to play a
Let's do
little
one
bit
at a time.
with this screen. Counselor Russell, go ahead.
Yeah, just for clarification, so again, maybe instead of saying bullets, the whereases and the points on, again, second page, because it's all on one page here. Just, again, give your thoughts in terms of the whereases and then the actual therefore be it resolved points, just to keep us on the same page.
The clerk would like to make a comment.
If I may, the whereas statements are really just background information. What we want to focus on are the clauses, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, I guess I feel like we're doing all, it's kind of repeating. Okay, I'll back away from that amendment. Let's just keep it simple. I would just like to remove the first bullet.
Okay.
Because it's for the reasons that I said. The very first whereas and the first bullet on the second page. Those 2, remove them.
Okay.
Let's just leave it at that.
Question from Mr. CAO.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to members of council, so under the therefore be it resolved, is that item 1 that you would like removed, Counselor? Just for clarity purposes, or are we still talking about the whereases?
Very first whereas,
Correct.
remove it.
Okay, so we're on the whereas, okay. But the therefore be it resolved, those are fine. So just the whereas that needs to be removed, okay. Okay.
And then the number 2, because they're the same.
The number 2 whereas or the number 2 of the,
Bullet on the second page, number
therefore be it resolved, remove number 2. Okay, got it?
We're just taking off the top, the first one on each page.
Okay.
Sorry, it's very clear to me.
I think, yeah. Counselor, if I could suggest, through you, Madam Mayor, if I could suggest, Counselor, you read what you would like.
Yes.
Can we just have some attention? Guys, there's a lot of conversations. Can we just have it read out, please?
My page
Thank you.
number 2, I'm sorry, that is the confusion, why I'm saying number 2. It's number 1, the town of Lincoln Council supports the motion passed by regional council on February 26, regarding the governance review. I'm very sorry, but my page that I printed says number 2. I don't know why.
Okay, do you have something that you can give the clerk?
I do.
Because if Madam Clerk could put it up on the screen, then we know exactly what we have.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just two quick little points. Again, I've got no issues with the changes proposed by Councillor Timmers. And also to Councillor Njema's question about timing, it did mention in the original motion from the region on the 26th that the governance review would begin this year, so within this term. So that was actually written out in the motion. Yep.
Madam Clerk, you put it up on the screen. Sorry. Go ahead, Councillor Michelet.
Thank you. Through you to the proposed amendment, and it refers to the regional direction. Trying to understand what it, refresh me, why, what is concerning about this motion that was passed at the region? What is concerning Councillor Timmers about the motion that was passed at the region?
I'm going to take, yeah, okay. I thought it was the same as Councillor Murray, but Councillor Timmers?
Thank you very much, Mayor. It's not overly concerning to me. I just don't feel that it's appropriate that we put it on our motion. I think we should do a Maiden Lincoln motion coming from this council. And I'm very supportive of everything else that's in the motion, but I don't think it's necessary or needed.
Councillor Michelet.
Okay, thank you. I just, yeah, I asked that question. I think it's, we're crafting our own motion as it is, but I think it's reaffirming, and it's also supporting the region in their decision that they crafted, they created. When I was watching that meeting myself, I thought it was a good motion. I thought it was all quite significant. I thought, you know, with respect to, you know, Chair Gale's involvement and, you know, throttling back or limiting his involvement, I thought, you know, everything else, I thought all of that was good. That's just my opinion, and yeah, thank you. I'm a little bit concerned that we're removing that piece as well, because we're not going to create the solution, and I'm not sure the region will themselves either. They've had lots of time,
Councillor Timmers?
No, I'll just leave it at that. Okay. Thank you.
The vote is open. The vote is closed, and that carries.
We'll move on now to item number 15, reports of... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, that was just the amendment. Pardon me. Okay. All right, so the final motion, Madam Clerk. check something. Can you put the final motion up, please? Okay, okay. Okay, just scroll a bit more so we see it all. Okay, that's it. Okay, all right. Everybody's seen it then? Counselor Mikulik, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I just, I guess through you to Councilor Russell, is there any concern, we've just removed that piece with respect to Chair Gale and his, kind of the region kind of throttling him back or attempting to, or trying to wind him down a bit. And again, like, I appreciate what Chair Gale is trying to do. He's trying to fast track, he's trying to, seek out a solution. I'm just concerned about the method or the speed or the way he's doing it. But in this motion that we have now, there's nothing that acknowledges that there's any concern on our part as a council with the methods or, the manner in which Chair Gale is proposing his governance review and his solutions that he's presented. Is there any concern? Do we have any concern about that? Should we add something to that, seeing as we've removed it with the regional?
Okay, so we removed it, the amendment was passed, so I think we're done.
Well, I'm waiting to hear what Councilor Russell feels.
It was part of the amendment.
No, but we didn't vote on the motion yet.
No, we voted on the amendment.
But should we add something further to the motion that Councilor Russell and
I see. Okay,
Councilor
I know what
Bernay are
you're
presenting
saying.
on the table?
Okay, Counselor Russell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Councillor Mikulik. I don't know if it's necessary because we already, again, we do outline the premise, the key premise from Mayor Redekop's and Councillor Hip's motion of, again, going through the steps of transparency, due diligence, making sure that any governance remodeling is done based on data, like all of that still remains in here. Again, whether or not we have the ability or there's any merit in us commenting on Chair Gale's ability to use his position to affect outcomes. Again, I don't know if we have any ability to do anything with that anyway. So, like, to me, the major premise of the motion is still intact, about actually going through those necessary transparent steps to make sure that any governance changes are based on clear objectives, rational thought, and clear public debate. And I think that is still there. But again, up to if you would like to make an addition, you're able to make an amendment.
Thank you very much. Just in light of the recent letter that was submitted by Chair Gale with his proposals, and I feel like we should formulate a stance on that, whether or not we as a council are supportive of that model, because should that go through as presented, well, and we don't object or we don't voice concerns in a formal manner, like not just a made in Lincoln man, like we like more or less like a formal manner in which we vocally and publicly say that we're not in favor of that method of governance, that is proposed. You know, there's already this notion of the mayors being the regional councilors. There's a pretty detailed weighting system and all of that stands to possibly be accepted. And this idea of, okay, well, yeah, but hey, listen, everybody, we think that we should have a proper governance review, but I think to have a proper governance review, I think requires like some significant pushback to what's currently possibly on the table at the regional and provincial level that affects us as a municipality as well. So I'd feel more comfortable if we added something to that motion that details that sort of concept or idea.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Councillor Miklik. Again, I think there's the opportunity, if you want to add in there some reference to, I don't want to say the proposal that he put forward, and he put it forward as regional councillor. He didn't put it forward as the chair. But there are some, like if you read through his proposal, there are some things in there that probably merit some future consideration as part of that governance review. So I wouldn't want to like come completely against what he did, even though the manner in which he did it, I am opposed to. But there are maybe some things in there that are part of that governance review process that have to get hashed out. So again, I would take those into consideration for, again, the way you want to handle this. If you want to put a motion or an amendment forward along either of those lines, I guess it's up to you.
Councillors, the issue of whether or not there's a mechanism for a person who has been given a formal title to take that mantle off at convenience has been tested at the region in the past. It was tested in the 2014 to 2018, and the legal opinion at that time, and we can certainly look into this if we wish to add something more. It was stated by the lawyers that were consulted that you couldn't do that. And it came about because there was a member of regional council who wanted to delegate as a private citizen to council. And so that was attempted, and it was deemed to be out of order. So I'm not making any judgments. I'm just suggesting to you that some of these processes are being challenged, and there are no answers at this time. So you can include anything that you want, but I think it's a good idea to try and stick with the simplicity. The judgments around the chair's behavior, I don't believe, are a matter for this council. They are definitely a matter for regional council, and I think that you have heard some of the verbal feedback. You have certainly not heard all of the feedback. So I leave that with you. Councillor Mikalik? If I can just... Go ahead,
Thank you
Councillor.
for your insight. I just, yeah, it's just like you said, there's a formal process, and I'm not sure if that's being followed, and like I said, I'd feel like I'd like to add an amendment, or I'd like to attempt to add an amendment to this motion detailing that, you know, the chair's role, the chair's limitations. I'd like to reinforce that if possible. I don't know this. This isn't necessarily a original thing for me to really know about, but when it comes to the regional chair's involvement, well, he's proposing changes to our town council as well, and our town as well. So that's where I have a concern. Now, what that, if the clerk could draft some sort of amendment quickly for me, you know, summarizing or summing up what, again, like, no, but like here we are, no, but this is a notice of motion. usually, you know, we receive a motion, we have a week or two to think about it, or a month, and we're trying to do this tonight on the fly. So I appreciate everyone's patience with this, and, you know. To do what? To draft, you want me to draft it here, now, while we're waiting? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just again, a point of clarification to Councilor Mikulik. Are you concerned about the initial letters and activities by the regional chair, Gail, to start this process going, or the secondary one where he was acting as regional councillor and sent the letters after regional councillor told him to abstain? Okay.
And I'll just add to that, Counselor, that we do not know, I haven't heard, I don't believe anybody has heard what the final legal advice is on that matter. So we should keep that in mind. Won't put the motion up until we have a seconder.
Can you just read it?
I can read what I emailed.
All right. Okay, yes, but I want, who's the seconder? I want to know who the seconder is for your amendment. Okay. I don't know how you can say that.
I'm going to make an edit, a cleaned up version of this. Just give me a moment. Is that it, Madam Clerk? Okay. Councillors, the motion that's up there is the amendment. Is that accurate, Councillor Mikulik?
Can you put the letter, the date of that letter that I'm referring to? I think it's March 4th. March 4th. The recent recommendation forwarded in a letter to Minister Flag on March the 4th, or on behalf of the town of Lincoln. March the 4th. That was a letter that was sent, and that shows us the weighted voting.
Okay, Councillor, is that accurate? Complete? All right, just a moment. Councillor, is the motion accurate as you submitted it?
It's accurate with.
Okay, I'm looking for a seconder. We're not discussing this until there's a seconder. Councillor Mikulik, a question or a clarification?
Just a clarification, it's just like with respect to that letter that was sent on specifically now, March 4th, this is a fluid and dynamic discussion. I still don't know if we're in favor of that letter or not. Like there was a letter of support that indicated by Chair Gale that we were supportive of that. There was only 4 municipalities that was against it. So I'm trying to get clarity on. Okay, correct me then. Yeah, I'm trying to get clarity on that.
All right. Mr. CAO, please go ahead.
Through you, Madam Mayor, just in terms of that particular letter and the comment around four not being in support or certain being, that letter has Chair Gale referencing 7 municipalities.
Okay.
In there. I can name them if you would like.
No, no.
For clarification, but there were 7 municipalities that were referenced, supporting generally the direction that he put forward, based on conversations, I believe, with the mayors of those 7 municipalities. So it does not assert and does not say Lincoln Council on that letter. And so I want just to be clear on that. But again, we can find a copy of that letter and recirculate it to members of council should you want to see it.
If you're looking for some clarity on what's up there, I would appreciate it if we would follow. I need a seconder for this. I'd be happy to entertain your question, whatever that might be, but I'm looking for a seconder. Are you? Just put your light on. I'll acknowledge you. This is not, okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm just looking for some, maybe some guidance from Councillor Michalak as to what is intent here. Like, we had a motion that we were voting on. He asked to insert this. So is this, through you, Chair, to Councillor Michalak, is this your intent to basically take this that we had on the screen and put it in as a whereas, or add it as a bullet point in addition to the motion that we had up to vote on? Is that your intent, or is this something that is totally different from the motion you had up there? I'm just trying to understand your mindset. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. This is really, this equipment is not responding,
No.
but please go ahead.
Challenging. No, it's just, again, going right back to the first concern I had with removing the supporting, not supporting of the region and their decision. I feel like we've removed that piece where it limits Chair Gale and his, in that regional motion, Chair Gale and his involvement or his moving forward, or his methods of moving forward with what he's proposing and the changes he's bringing to the table without proper consultation. That's the problem. That's the concern I have. That's why I'm trying to encapsulate that with this amendment that was kind of lost by removing it from the regional supportiveness. So I'm trying to capture that in it's been probably about 15 minutes now, but if I'd be at home and I would have been able to, review the motion, then I could have added a whereas. I could have, but we're doing this here tonight, so.
And we
it's
approved
time
it.
sensitive.
And we had a majority of council
Yeah.
allow that to go forward.
Yeah, I agree. That's why, I'm appreciating everyone's patience on this. And if again, if I'm of the minority, or if nobody wants to support this concept or idea, then let's just vote it down and then vote on the emotion as it is and move on.
Well, we
Maybe we'll
can't,
have dinner
we
by then.
can't even vote it down
Yeah.
if I don't have a
No,
seconder.
yeah, perfect.
Okay, I'm going to move on to Councillor Russell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, just one really quick point of clarification. I agree with you. The only caveat is that Chair Gale did not write those letters as regional chair. Like, the letter on March 4th came from Regional Councillor Gale, which, again, is not against the motion that was brought forward on that February 26th meeting. Again, if you remember what Councillor Badaway had mentioned, again, you can write a letter as Regional Councillor Gale or Citizen Gale, that is fine, but using the regional letterhead and any of their staff, again, that was part of the motion. He did something different. He did a letter which had proposals in it, which, again, there may be merit to them, from Regional Councillor Gale, which is very different, and again, it's kind of splitting hairs, but I think I don't want to say legality, but from a motion standpoint, I think it's actually okay. I don't know if it's something that we would weigh in on. I think that's something that regional council can decide at their next meeting.
Okay, and I'm sure there will be, I'm sure there will be a great deal of consideration given to all these things as time goes by. So, thank you very much for your amendment. We don't have a seconder, so we're going to move on to vote on the motion as amended. Madam Clerk, if you would put it up again.
Okay, the vote is open. Councillor Mikulik, excuse me, are you still voting? Okay. The vote is now closed and that carries.
Thank you very much, everyone, for your input, and we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is reports of municipal officers, and we'll now consider item 15.1, which is the mayor's report. And this evening, I am going to read into the minutes, and for the benefit of anyone observing this evening, the statement regarding the Niagara Region Governance Review, it reads as follows. The last 2 weeks have been a roller coaster of emotions when it comes to conversations around governance changes in Niagara, and I share those feelings with you. I also appreciate that there has been an abundance of misinformation and lack of clarity around the situation where certain mayors or municipalities lay on each side of the conversation. While I have refrained from making a public statement on social media, I have made public comments both at Town of Lincoln Committee of the Whole on Monday, February the 23rd, 2026, as well as at Regional Council on Thursday, February the 26th, 2026. I will endeavor to summarize my thoughts and position for you now. First off, I want to thank my colleagues both at Regional Council and those here on Lincoln Council for their input and ongoing debate regarding this very important topic. In addition, I want to thank the residents of Lincoln and all of Niagara that have contributed to the discussion, regardless of which side one takes. I appreciate those that have spoken up and engaged in this civic conversation. Your interest and engagement in Niagara's future is greatly appreciated. Lincoln has always prioritized delivering high-quality services at an affordable cost, and that commitment will continue to guide every conversation about governance in our region. I have long supported a thoughtful governance review that looks at how Niagara should be structured for the next 50 years, not just how it has been governed in the past. Any review must include clear objectives, transparency, and strong engagement with residents and municipalities so the potential impacts are fully understood. If structural change moves forward and the options are limited to a single city model or a four-city model, my preference is for a four-city model. This approach better preserves geographic representation and community identity while allowing for collaboration, efficiency, and financial sustainability. It's important to remember that no formal proposal has been presented yet. Remember, this was dated last week. Lincoln will continue to participate constructively and collaboratively, guided by fiscal responsibility and by what is best for the residents we serve. We also remain committed to respecting the dedicated public servants who deliver essential services across our region every day. On Monday evening last, Lincoln Council will be discussing a motion regarding Lincoln's position on governance review. I'm sorry, on Monday evening, that's this evening, we'll be discussing a motion regarding Lincoln's position on governance review. I will be supporting this motion because it enforces that council is willing to participate in a review should one formally be adopted while maintaining a commitment to fiscal responsibility. And I encouraged all residents to tune in this evening. While 8 of my mayoral colleagues recently released a public statement on their viewpoints of what should transpire next, I am disappointed that they did not include 4 of the municipalities that represent the lion's share of the population of Niagara. I fear that intermunicipal relations have been strained given what has recently transpired these past 2 weeks. But as always, I look forward to working with other mayors and municipalities on how we can work together to better the lives of our residents. Lincoln's council recently made the bold move to reform our own house, and we have reduced the size of council for the 2026 to 2030 term of council from 9 to 7. Lincoln's voice will continue to be clear and consistent in this important discussion, both for today but also for the future of our community. I firmly believe that any changes to governance here in Niagara must be a solution made by all of Niagara. Thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Reimer and seconded by Councillor Timmers that council receive and file for information the following mayor's report. Madam Clerk, would you please open the vote?
The vote is now open. The vote is closed, and that carries.
Thank you. We move on now to a motion to consider confidential matters, of which we have none. And item 17 is the motion to approve bylaws, and we have 4 bylaws for consideration today. Do members have any questions to any of those bylaws? There being none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Reimer, seconded by Councillor Njima, that leave be given to approve the following bylaws. 2026-16, a bylaw to authorize the use of optical scanning vote tabulators for the purpose of counting votes at the 2026 municipal election, and the use of internet voting and voting proxies as alternative voting methods, and to authorize advanced voting for use in the 2026 municipal election. 2026-17, a bylaw to amend bylaw number 89-2000, 89-28, being a bylaw regulating traffic and parking on local municipal roads, Schedule P, stop sign locations. Bylaw 26 and 2026-18, a bylaw to designate a part of 15th Street, Jordan as a community safety zone. Bylaw 2026-19, a bylaw to amend bylaw number 89-2000, 89-28, as amended, being a bylaw to regulate traffic and parking on local municipal roads, Schedule W, speed limits. I'll now ask our deputy clerk to open the vote. Oh, my apologies. This is not responding. Go ahead,
Perfect.
Councillor Megway.
Thank you. I just want to thank Director Dave and his staff on bylaw 2026-19 about 15th Street. designating it as a community safety zone, that was a result of a private resident that recognized there was a school out in the country, and people are using those back roads. Typically schools are in, urban, more, subdivision or city-type atmospheres where speed limits are 40 or 50. In this school in particular, where it's zoned, I think it's warranted to have this sort of a speed reduction in place, as well as community safety zone, given the number of residents that live within that area as well as the school itself. So thank you, Director Dave and your team, for doing the work that's required to make this happen. That's all.
Thank you very much, Councillor. All right, Madam Clerk, would you open the vote, please?
The vote is now open.
We can scroll this down if it's necessary, but everybody's got printed copies, I believe.
The vote is closed, and that carries.
All right, that motion carries. We move on to item 19, which is council remarks. And before we motion to adjourn, do members have any comments? There's a poltergeist in this thing. Councillor Brunet.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just wanted to, maybe if I had an opportunity, and maybe if this isn't the right venue, then the CAO can maybe articulate what would be a better time. But so I appreciate the statement that you brought forward, Madam Mayor. I think there was a lot of people that were looking forward to the statement, and I think the statement was well written. With regards to the comment through you, Madam Chair, to the CAO, where the mayor in her statement, said that she was disappointed that for the municipalities that represent the lion's share of the population, were not involved in those discussions. And the Madam Mayor goes on to say in her statement that she fears that intermunicipal relations have been strained given what has recently transpired over these last 2 weeks. And she goes on to say that she's hoping that the mayors and municipalities can work together moving forward to better the residents. So I think those are all impactful, positive statements, and I basically appreciate the mayor for making those statements. But I'm wondering through you, CAO, our mandate a long, long time ago from the Premier and the province was to push for shared service agreements. And I think Lincoln has basically done a great job in trying to move those forward. In light of what's happened recently and some of the comments that have been made by certain mayors not wanting to deal with Lincoln for whatever reasons they might hold, through you, Chair, to the CAO, I'm wondering if you could maybe comment, Mr. CAO, on what you're hearing at some of the CAO tables. This is kind of, it's kind of alarming to me that people that we were thinking about 2 years ago that we might be aligning to be partners in a new municipality have not included us in these letters and basically come out in print saying they don't want anything to do with Lincoln for whatever reason. So what possible damage has been done, not only from our standpoint, Mr. CEO, on how we would look at some of these municipalities, but how do you think they're looking at us as a partner moving forward?
Mr. CAO, please go ahead.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Brunet. I mean, I appreciate the question, Councillor. Some members of council will know I sent you an email because I was out of the office on Friday. Lincoln actually hosted the most recent regional CAO's meeting, so I think that timing of that was interesting. I would say it was a good meeting. Generally, it was cordial. There was some ongoing promise in that meeting that we would work together and continue to work together. We obviously talked about governance and the matter of governance. I think part of that conversation was somewhat cathartic in terms of just having the conversation with who signed what letters, and some municipalities putting their names or signatures or commitments to multiple letters. So I think it was good to have a little bit of that conversation. We did talk shared services. I mentioned specifically water and the creation of a water utility, which appeared in one of the numerous letters that went out last week. The region was also at the table. Obviously, we've done shared services. I'd like to say Lincoln's been a leader in the shared services arena. I think about positive ones with Pelham in terms of the library service and how that's worked. But I've also, and this council will know, we've also done shared services where things haven't worked. We did a planning relationship with Grimsby and Fire. Both didn't work. If you ask me my opinion, is that somewhat short-sighted in terms of not wanting to do things like this? It is. But we are forward-thinking as a municipality. I think we're going to continue to engage. Will I think, be leery? I think it's always about a good partner. You've heard me reference having a good dance partner when we enter into these things, and so I think one needs to reflect on who those partners are and the similarities of those partners. And so it is one of those things that I'm optimistic we can get past this and move together and move forward together as municipalities. I think it's important that we do. And I think, again, my hope is that we are able to move past this. If the meeting and the indication on Friday is anything, then I think we will get there. But again, us as public servants, I think is one thing. I think councils need to continue to work together, mayors need to continue to work together, and I don't think the divide is helpful at all.
Thank you very much, Mr. CAO. All right, Councillor, as usual, I seem to have an aversion to the motion to confirm the proceedings of council. So we'll go back to item 18. We will now confirm the proceedings of the council meeting, and I have a motion moved by Councillor Russell and seconded by Councillor Mikulik. That leave be given to introduce bylaw number 2026-20, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held Monday, March 9th, 2026, read a first, second, and third time, that bylaw number 2026-20 be enacted and passed, and that the mayor and clerk sign and seal the said bylaw. Madam Clerk?
The vote is open. The vote is closed and it carries.
All right, the motion is carried. We'll move on then to item 20, which is the motion to adjourn. I have a motion moved by Councillor Reimer, seconded by Councillor Murray, that the council meeting on March the 9th, 2026 be adjourned at, I think it's 20 to 9. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, 20 to 9 p.m. Madam Clerk, please open the vote.
The vote is now open. The vote is closed and that carries.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. This concludes our council meeting for this evening. Thank you to everyone who's watching.